Coming up on Pro Sports Report, the NBA playoffs are here, but the Lakers are dealing with major injuries at the worst possible time. Can they still make a run? Plus, the Dodgers are spending at a level we've never seen before. And can that lead to a lockout in 2027? Let's get into it. Welcome to Pro Sports Report. I'm your host, Steven Lopez. The NBA playoffs are officially underway, and for the Lakers, it couldn't come at a worst possible time. Luka Dončić is dealing with a grade 2 hamstring strain, while Austin Reaves is recovering from a grade 2 oblique injury. According to Shams Charania of ESPN, Luka even traveled to Spain to receive specialized treatment and is aiming for a return at some point in the first round. Reaves, however, is expected to miss at least the opening round, and the odds reflect it. The Lakers enter the series against the Houston Rockets as heavy underdogs, with Fangraphs putting them at a plus 550. So, with injuries piling up and expectations low, I spoke with Laker fan Matthew Argueta to get a real perspective on how this could play out.
As a fan, I'm hoping for the best, and I think they do have a good chance, especially if everyone contributes, because at the end of the day, it is a team game. Though I think LeBron has enough to carry this team still. I think at his age, he still has a lot left, and he's shown it throughout the season in spurts. Obviously, he's had games like throughout the season where he's like 15 points, where he's shooting the ball not that well. But I feel like come playoff time, he's going to give it all. He's going to show us that, he's still LeBron at the end of the day, and he's still, in my opinion, still a top 10 player in the league. The question is, does he still have enough stamina to go against the Rockets? But I think LeBron is just an all-around player, and he's going to make his teammates better. He's going to find open looks for guys, and I think he still has enough to carry this team. So yeah, the Rockets are heavily favored. I think what makes them a tough matchup is just they have a lot of like younger guys, and if Luka and Reaves come back, I think they could win this series. If Luka can at least come back at least by game 4, and they have at least 2 wins, then they could end the series in 6 games.
Even with injuries, there is still some belief in playoff experience, but against the younger, healthier Rockets team, the margin for error is extremely small. And ultimately, it may come down to whether Luka can return on time. They aren't just dominating on the field, they're dominating financially. And according to Fangraphs, the Dodgers are projected to have a 2026 payroll of nearly $397 million and a luxury tax payroll over $407 million. That's the highest in Major League Baseball. Even more telling, over 96% of that roster is guaranteed money. And looking ahead, the Dodgers already have about $422 million committed for just 2027. So this isn't just about spending big, it's about sustaining it long term. And when I spoke to Dodger fans about it, something interesting came up. They didn't blame the Dodgers at all. So that raises a bigger question. If the Dodgers are playing within the rules, is the real issue the system itself?
Honestly, I think it's a good thing that a team is deciding, because at the end of the day, what matters most is the fans, they're the ones that show up to the game. They're the ones that, buy the tickets, pay the parking. So, that I think that's their way of like repaying the fans, having these, great teams. Because, eventually, like the goal is to win a title. So honestly, I see nothing wrong with it. You're trying to better your team. You're trying to, show to your fans that you're here to win. And that's all that matters at the end. So I think it's a good thing. Honestly, bro, I think they should have a floor, because a lot of these owners, they're millionaires, dude. Like, for example, the guy from the A's, I think his name is John Fisher. He's a millionaire, bro. He's moving his team to Vegas. As soon as they move to Vegas, they're starting to spend a little bit more money. They're locking up some of their guys. I know they gave a Soderstrom an extension. I know they gave, I think, Wilson an extension. And if I'm not mistaken, I think they gave a Butler and Rooker an extension. So these guys have money to spend. Obviously, not everyone can spend on the level of the Dodgers. Only certain teams could do that, such as like the Mets, the Yankees. but that every team could spend on free agent players or even locking up their own guys, I think they can do it. You know, a lot of it, what I feel has to do with is geography. You know, everyone, not everyone, but a lot of these guys, you know, want to play in LA. You know, like even some of the players here have said it. Like, I think to Oscar said, you know, he got offered a longer contract by I forgot who, but you know, to I think it was Boston, if I'm not mistaken. You know, a 4-year deal. You know, a lot of it what has to do is like, you know, a big market such as LA or New York. It's right as of right now. It's most likely sustainable. You know, the TV deal they have, you know, all the fans that go to the games, all the merchandise they sell. So I think it's sustainable, especially with the big market in Japan. But I think once, you know, those deferrals start to kick in, you know, such as pretty much everyone's contract, you know, big contract on the team. Once those deferrals start to kick in, I think, you know, they might run into some issues, you know, money wise. But I mean, as of right now, I think they're good.
I think it works for the Dodgers because they're making the most out of it. They're actually coming out with something to show with the World Series. But I think it's kind of like a poker game almost. Like you got to have a good hand if you're going to go all in on that.
And with the current collective bargaining agreement set to expire after the 2026 season, this question could become a real concern for the league. The Dodgers may not be breaking the rules, but they could be exposing the limits of the system. And with hundreds of millions already committed into the future, what happens next could impact the entire sport. That's all for this episode of Pro Sports Report. I'm your host, Steven Lopez. See you next time.